Good morning. Hi, it is Stacy. This is Loving My Veteran, and we are walking in my shoes this morning. The laptop decided it didn't want to be motivational on Monday. So, just want to say good morning. It is Motivational Monday. It is the time that we get uplifted, get inspired, so we can face the week. It's always a good thing when we do that. So, let me get a couple sips of coffee in here. See where we all are as we all come on with our little bit of coffee this morning, slowly getting ourselves together. I'm a little slow, sorry. Lots of things coming up. Do not forget that we have a fundraising event going on now. Origami Owl, Elise Wilson is doing that. She'll do a live event tomorrow night. So click on that link so you can go to her live event. If you want to purchase something, the link is on the page. Please go there as well. She is donating a portion of the profits to Loving My Veterans so that we can continue to bring great messages and do amazing things. So don't forget that. Boot camp will come on in a month. We are full. I'm super excited about that. If you did not get into this class of boot camp, there will be another one, but you can also go, and I'll put that link on there too, to the boot camp page. It is a public page, so please be careful what you post in there. But you'll get a lot of insight with what's going on in boot camp as well, so you'll know whether you want to participate next time we do another one. So wanted to get that out there. All right, today is Motivational Monday. We always take Mondays as a time to kind of get ourselves up, get ourselves motivated, get ourselves ready to face the week, because our mindset plays a huge role on how we go forward. Our mindset plays this amazing role in how we go forward. So if we wake up feeling all God, I dread this week, I dread this, I dread that, then guess what? We've already brought dread into our lives. So when you bring dread into your lives, you're already going to start yourself on a downward slide, and we don't want to do that. We want to be upward, uplifting, motivated, going on, going forward, and the only way we do that is to have our motivational Mondays that gets our mindset right going between. So this week we're talking about living your dash. John Drake is a very good friend of mine. He also is my former preacher. He changed churches and we've moved, but I still keep in contact with them. And he gave an amazing sermon one day on living your dash. And what it was basically is that when we go and you look at somebody when they've passed on and you look at their tombstone, it has the date they were born and a dash and the date they died. The date they were born and the date that they died have really no relevance to their life. It is that dash in between that is important. It is how you choose to live that dash between the day you were born and the day you die. That is living your dash. That is living the moments that make up your life. What you do is not about the day you were born and the day you died. The most significant thing on your tombstone is the dash. That is the dash of your life. So what do when you live that dash? You need to learn to live that dash. Live that dash for you. You know, we try to live this dash in our lives to be something for somebody else. The best cook, the best mom, the best wife, the best this, the best employee, the best everything. And what are we doing at the end of the day for us? We're not. We have to learn to live our dash, our terms. Morning, Sarah Kim. Our dash, our terms, our life. That is living our dash. Because when we live our life for other people, when we live our life for other people, we lose who we are. See, I think about it often, and I think about what was most of my life. Okay, so I needed I would have needed this tombstone that said, "Here lies Stacy." She was even Big Lucas's granddaughter, and Charlotte and Richard's granddaughter, and Linda and Lucas's daughter, and David and Seth's mom, and Woody's ex-wife. I mean, I was something else to everybody, but I wasn't me. I wasn't me, so I didn't have a dash of my own. My dash wouldn't have meant anything until I learned to become me. And I learned that living my dash for me is so incredibly important. Well, this is what happens. So now we're in these relationships, and all relationships do this, okay? So every relationship does this. Every relationship we get sucked into pulls part of us out. As we get sucked into a relationship and we get into it and we want to be in it, and I'm not saying we're suckered into being there, but we want to be in here. And as we go on, good morning, Stephanie. And as we go on, we pull ourselves, get pulled into this relationship. And as we get pulled into this relationship, we lose part of who we are. We lose part of who we are along that way. That's not living your dash. Living your dash is living for you. Now, it will make you living your dash. You're still going to be a great mom, and you're still going to be a great spouse, and you're still going to be a great friend, but you're going to be genuine, and you're going to be all in as you. Not all in as somebody you want to be, that people want you to be. You're going to be all in as you. And that is a huge difference. Then we add that PTSD TBI part. And we feel like, you know what? Well, we have to do this for them, and we have to help them, and we have to do this, and we have to do that, and we do this. And when we do that, you realize we whittle away at their dash. You are aware of that. When we start dictating and mandating rules, you need to do this today. This has to be handled today. Not giving them the option, hey, what are the top 3 things you think need to be dealt with this week? We sit here and say, this is what you need to do today. This is what you need to do this week. This is what, have a conversation about what needs to be accomplished, and let them choose. When you start choosing their life for them, you have taken their dash away. You've whittled their dash away. And that doesn't help anybody. Same thing happens in reverse. When we do that to other people, we whittle our dash away. Live your life on your terms. You don't have to live it for anybody else. You have to be able to live your life on your terms. That's living your dash. That is being motivated to enjoy your dash. That's what we do. We don't become something else. And the sad part for me is that for 50 some years, my dash was for somebody else. It's only been in the last 2 or 3 years, 2-ish years, 3 years, that I've learned to live my dash for me. And you know what the crazy part of it is? When you hear all these people bitch and moan and groan and complain about their veteran and their life and their this and their that, and they suck everything out of them. I didn't learn to live for me until I lived with Carl. I didn't learn to live with me until we became together. He has taught me to live my dash. And how has he done that? These are the things that a lot of people who are in PTSD relationships don't understand and they don't get. They're like, well, he's selfish. No, he's not. He does what is important to him. He still retains his identity. He's not being selfish when he says, this is who I am. He's not being selfish when he says, I don't do crowds well. I don't want to go here. That is not being selfish. That is being honest. And that is allowing him to live his dash. And when I force him to do something, I am now forcing him to do something he doesn't want to do. So I'm whittling away at his dash. How many times do we do that? Do we do that? Do we go in and say, well, he can't do this, so I'm going to do this for him, and this needs to be accomplished, and even though he's capable, I know he's not going to do it, so I'm just going to do it. And when we do that, we are whittling away at our dash because we're living our life for them. We can't. Live your life. You have your accountability. Every action, there's accountability. Every action, there's accountability. So if they choose not to do something, if they choose not to do a task, as long as they know the outcome, okay, treat Mike like he's a grown man. Exactly. But what happens is when we start taking away their dash from them, when we start telling them, you've got to do this, and you've got to do that, and you've got to do this, and you've got to do that, and I need you to do this, and I need you to do that, and we're going to, when you start taking that independence away, that freedom of thought away. You've taken part of their dash away. You got to live the same life for you. You can't let them suck the dash out of you. It's important that you learn to live your dash. What is your mark on this world going to be? Because the day you were born and the day you die are irrelevant. It's how you spent that time in between. Are you happy with you? Do you genuinely like you? That was a hard thing for me to understand. When I had to sit here and say, do I like me? Somebody asked me that. Do you really like you? No, I didn't. I didn't like me at all. I didn't like the person I'd become. I didn't like the attitude I had. I didn't like the negativity that I lived through. I didn't like being the Debbie Downer. I didn't like doing all this. I didn't like me. I didn't like me. I could see me, and people, when I say this, think I'm either crazy or else I'll say they've experienced it. I can see me being such a raging bitch at times, and I was being this truly raging bitch at times, and it was like the me that could judge things intelligently was pulled out of this body, and I'm looking down at me being this raging bitch, and I couldn't stop myself from doing it. I'm like, what the hell did you do? What the hell are you doing? Can you just stop this? This isn't even intelligent. I had to learn that I had to like me, and I didn't like that raging bitch that I saw. So I'm trying really hard not to be that person anymore. It doesn't mean that I'm successful at it all the time, but I didn't like that. So if I don't like that in me, what the hell do I think he's going to like that in me for? See, that's the cycle to this. The cycle to this is learning self-love, learning self-value, learning self-worth. Those are the things that are important, because I'm going to tell you this. It doesn't matter if you are married to a veteran with a TBI and PTSD, or you are married to a perfectly normal person. If you don't learn to love yourself, if you don't learn to love yourself, and you don't like you, no relationship is going to be successful. Now, that is not something people come to this PTSD support group wanting to hear. They want to hear that it's all the veterans' fault. It's all the veterans' fault. It's all the veterans' fault. Some of it is. Some of it's learning how to live with it. Some of it has to do with what we've enabled them to do. Some of it just has to do with them as a whole, them in general. It does, and we get that, okay? If I try to tell him anything, it won't get done. You're not his mother. See, and that's where those roles play. And that's those things that we have to learn how to communicate, where we don't make them feel like their mother, but we also get things accomplished as a couple. As a couple. But if you don't like yourself, can I just tell you, I don't care what relationship you're in, if you don't like yourself, it's never going to be successful. It's never going to be successful. Okay? That's what happens. You have to learn to live your dash. You have to learn to like who you are. You have to learn that you have value and you have worth. Because for a long time, I didn't buy into that. For a long time, I let everything intimidate me. Okay? Jennifer says, I know I play a part in the things that go wrong. I'm trying to right my wrongs and learn to be better with my actions. Self-love is a huge struggle for me. It is a huge struggle for us. Jennifer, that's about being motivated to learn to love ourselves first. Loving yourself first is not wrong. You can't, I'm going to use Carl's words again, you can't be good for anybody else if you're not good for you. He has told me that so many times. I can't be good for you if I'm not good for me first. And he tells me that over and over and over and over again. And in the beginning, I didn't understand it. I thought like, oh yeah, all right, this is going to work. But now I truly understand it. When I start out my mindset and my day that I'm going to take care of me and I'm going to still be true to who I am, and I have value and I have worth and I don't have to please anybody else, I don't have to do any of that. I have to make me happy. And it doesn't mean being selfish, okay? Because that people say that, oh, well, that makes you selfish or self-centered. No, I didn't say I went out and spent $3,000 buying Coach bags and Gucci bags and Michael Kors purses. I said that I took care of me. I took care of me, whether it means I read something, whether it means I just sat there in the peace of the moment, whether it means I said no to somebody that was going to invade my space. That doesn't require money. That doesn't require buying things. That requires me taking care of me setting a boundary for me becoming more important, me learning to take care of myself. It all leads to boundaries. What if he can't be good for himself and then you get left despite trying to do all the other stuff right? He can only be good for himself when he is ready. You can be supportive. You can be beside him. You can give him that comfort of not walking away. You can give him all of those things that he needs. And you can do that without losing yourself and allowing him time to be good for himself. Michelle and I had this conversation today, and I was kind of going to do a whole topic on it tomorrow, but since it's coming this way, let's talk about this just a little bit on our Motivational Monday. It's so easy for us to say to them, you need to do this, and you need to do that, and you need to do this, and you need to do that. And we think about what a better life would be, right? What a better life would be. And we set that better life based on our standards. Based on our standards. This is what we see a better life for you being. You need to do this, and you need to do that, and you need to do this. Sometimes we have to understand. Sometimes we have to understand that they are comfortable in the place they were at. Okay, so Carl has his creatures of comfort. He has his blanket that is his, and you can tell when he doesn't, when he's in a space, because he just totally wants that, and it's comfort for him. He has comfy clothes. My daddy did too, though, so I can't say anything about just being the veteran side. Carl has comfy clothes that he's had for like 14 years that I just assume throw the t-shirts away and buy new ones because they have holes in them, but they are comfortable to him. The biggest thing we still get into is when we moved, we threw away the gross pillows and we bought new ones. Well, for me, it was no big deal. Okay, like the pillow is gross, let's just throw it away and buy a new one. I mean, I do it all the time. It's just something, oh yeah, it's time for a new pillow, let's get a new one. But for him, it was throwing away a part of him. And so we don't always realize sometimes that they're comfortable in that life without some of the things that we think they should have. They're comfortable in a life sometimes that we think they should have. And sometimes it's us trying to change that isn't helpful. It's not helpful. It doesn't change them. They want to be in that place that they're comfortable. They want to be in that place that they're comfortable. Sometimes comfort for them is being without, or being minimalistic, or being in a place, or being there. That's how they deal with things. And yes, they can kind of turn it on and off. It depends on their mood and where they're at. So that is a big issue sometimes, and we're going to really delve into that tomorrow. But she brought it up, so I just wanted to tell you, when you're talking about it sometimes, we can't change people. We can't change their comforts. When you start coming into people, and the same thing happens to us, when you start coming into people and you say, well, this is ridiculous, you need new clothes, or this is ridiculous, you need new underwear, you have holes in your underwear, or look, we just bought new furniture, you've got all this now, you've got all that now, you've got this, you've got that, you've got all these things that are now here that you didn't have before, so you should be excited, and it doesn't mean anything. And because it is a change they're just not ready for. But the same thing happens to us. I can remember being told, trying to people buy your love. You can't buy my love. But I bought into it. You know, I have a son right now who has this girlfriend, and he went shopping, and oh, I bought her a new Michael Kors purse and a new Michael Kors wallet. Well, isn't that special? But it doesn't make her love you anymore, because people attach that. And so when you're living your dash, it's not about what you can buy. Good morning, Michelle. It's not about what you can buy. It's not about what you can give somebody. It's not about what other people can give you. It is you learning to like you for who you are, in the nakedness, in the rawness, learning to like you. And that is so important. You can't change people. We forget that. We can't change people, but people shouldn't be allowed to change us. And typically as women, and this is just a trait that we do, typically as women, we tend to mold into where people need us to be, or where we think people need us to be. And we tend to make those curves. Oh, well, you need this today, and you need that today, and you need a caregiver, and you need this, and you need that, and you need all these things. And that's not what they need, but we tend to do that. And when we do that, we lose who we are. And when we lose who we are, we're not living our dash, we're living somebody else's dash, right? We have to live ours. And we want our dash to include them, but we don't need to sacrifice who we are for somebody else. So when we, and besides that, it creates this massive amount of confusion. This massive amount of confusion. When you learn to like you, and you learn to live for you, and you learn to be you, and then they have this conversation with you, and you're like, okay, I'll stop and I'll go back to being who I was. And then in the next hour, we're turning our own self on and off, because we're going to go back and be that strong, successful woman that we know we can be, right? And we get that control back in our brain. And so now we're going to live our dash. And then 3 hours later, something else comes up. And so now we're going back to where we were. And then we're going to get strong again, and we're going to go back to being this. And then we're going to go back to where's that consistency? Then you don't understand why they don't get us. Well, they don't, because we don't get us, because we don't know where we sit. We don't know who we are. We don't stand by our convictions. We don't stand by our convictions. See, it's not for me to judge you, to tell you what's right and what's wrong. It's for you to judge you about what's right and what's wrong in your life. And if it's good in your life, if it's good for you, then live it. Then live it. You know, I think about all the struggles that happen, and even now, and that is really going to be tomorrow's topic, is on what's happening in Afghanistan and the validation issues. But let's just be in this spot, okay? In this spot where we're talking about living, and we're talking about validations, and we're going to be moving all over the place. You can't keep conforming to somebody else. So I'm going to tell you, I remember, you know, when the World Trade Centers got hit, and they were building the monument there, the memorial there, they did not want to have a place for the Muslims to worship there and pray. Well, there were a lot of Muslims that got killed in that, besides just the ones that threw the plane. And I felt like everybody should have that right. And they're like, well, you know, these people do this. And I said, look, y'all. I support a practicing, honest, truly believing Muslim over a hypocritical Christian. Okay? So that's what happens. He said, I don't know what to do to help. I gave him 3 easy tasks. He did 1. Then Sarah, he can handle 1 at a time. Give him 1. So that's what I'm talking about being true to yourself. Be who you really are and stop fluctuating, because when you do that, when you do all this fluctuating around and you go through all of this and you keep doing all of this, you're not staying true to you. And when you don't stay true, how can you be true to you one second and not true to you the next, and then expect anybody to figure out where you really are? Where do you really stand? Where do you really stand? You know, I find it funny. This is like the only election cycle that I can still see. Um, yeah, we are going to talk about that tomorrow, Jennifer. What's happening overseas and what effect it will have on the PTSD. That will be a topic for tomorrow. A very in-depth, painful topic for tomorrow. And give you some skills with how to handle that going forward, or some knowledge about what's going to happen. But when you keep moving around, y'all, and your motivation as to where you are, and you keep flip-flopping, how does anybody know how to act? How do you know what to do if the rules keep changing? How do you know if the rules keep changing? How do you understand what to do if the rules change on a daily basis? If that keeps happening, we can only do that. What is it? He can only be good for himself when he's ready, and he can't be good for me until he's good for himself. And he can choose to walk away, and I can use it as time to take care of myself and be my best. Absolutely. Absolutely. Self-healing is powerful. Self-healing is powerful, because the one thing I didn't understand was self-healing was important, that learning to be me was important, that I had to live my dash. I had to live it. Nobody else could live that dash for me. That is my dash to live. It is going to be etched on my tombstone, and that is my dash to live. It is not anybody else's. It is mine. It is my dash, and if I can't keep fluctuating as to where I sit and where I stand, and I find this, and I was talking about political cycles, and I kind of got off track reading the notes, but here's what happens. You know, we still got people flying Trump 2020 flags, okay? Okay, it is, we're still seeing people flying the Trump 2020 flags, and you're like, what the heck, the election's over, can we stop? These people are true to where they stand. They want you to know where they stand. They're not flip-flopping everywhere. This is where they stand, and they're standing up for where they stand. And so the thing happens, and we don't see that, and we don't do this. We don't do this, and so we go through this standing for what you believe in and learning to live your dash. And that is what is so critically important in our life going forward, the Motivational Monday. Learn to live your dash. Now I'm going to spend the rest of this time talking about a few things. Yes, Nikia, you are right. What's going on overseas is not only affecting our veterans. Okay? It is having an adverse effect on many, many, many people. It is scary. It is terrifyingly scary. It is putting people in a place, and it is something that we have to learn to deal with, and we have to learn, be aware of what's going to happen mentally to our warfighters. I will use Boone's words. Once you're a warfighter, you're always a warfighter. So seeing what's going on overseas, and it is a huge issue. And even though some of our veterans were pre 9/11, they still see that as a loss of a brother for what? As a loss of a brother for what? Because when we pulled out, the very thing we were trying to protect there happened the minute we pulled those troops out. So they're feeling like there's a lot of loss and rage. It goes back to the same theory as World War II. You know, a lot of people died in World War II. And what would have happened had we just have war ended, everybody just pulled out, and then the Nazis regained control of Germany? That's the same mentality that we're using here. We stayed and made sure it didn't happen. We still are there. We still have bases in Germany for a very specific reason. And when you see what happened overseas, it is very depressing. It totally changes their mindset. It totally gets them in a different place. And it's something that I think for education, we have to be educated on what could and could not happen and be aware for the triggers and the signs so that we are better apt to dealing with what's going on. It will make our relationships with our veteran so much better. So that will be tomorrow's topic. It may even run a little later than the half an hour. So, and if we have to do it over 2 days, we will. I just feel that it is something we absolutely have to address. Is that so that our mindset is right? So our mindset is right going into that, because knowledge is power. And the more you know about what can happen to them and how to get through that with them, the better it's going to be. We're going to have more nightmares. We're going to have more mood swings. We're going to have a lot more being cut off. We're going to have a lot more focus for them on whether it's news or social media or something else that they don't work. Yeah, I mean that's exactly how they feel. The tensions are very high among them right now, and it is causing some serious issues that create their lack of self-worth. So we will talk about that tomorrow. I didn't want to end Motivational Monday on a downward swing, but it is motivation, I guess, to be prepared and have some knowledge and have some power. So I'm going to end this now, but what I want you to do, the motivate, it is, Nikki, it is a cycle that we see going on and on and on, and these guys feel horrible. So we need to do that and talk about that in depth, so we're prepared. And how can we mentally keep ourselves right when there's going to be a lot of negativity in our homes, whether we like it or not? It's going to come in, and we need to be able to deal with that as well. So I'm going to get a couple things real quick before we end. Give me probably an hour or so, and there's going to be a new file posted to the page, and it's called Taking Your Temperature. And anybody who's going to do boot camp is going to be asked to do it for the whole 6 weeks. But if you guys want to start now, it's great. It is just a little piece of paper. You can print them out and use them, or you can put it in a notebook yourself and just kind of keep track of it. But it talks about, how do you feel in the morning when you wake up? Did your veteran trigger? And was there a trigger that day? What events went on? And if a negative event went on and you made it through that day, even though it may be 3 or 4 days later, just start writing those down, and you're going to start to see a pattern. And you're going to start to see, it's called taking your temperature. How did you react? Because creating a pattern is what's important. That's the way we learn to break the cycle. So it's called taking your temperature. Because I didn't know what he wanted. He just wants you to be you. He just needs you to be you, and you need to be you, Meredith, and that's going to be really important. So we're going to do taking our temperature. Give me a little bit. I'll have that out there today. Michelle's working on the newsletter this week, so we will get back to doing newsletter. Michelle is now handling all of our newsletter stuff. Super excited. Tomorrow, we'll probably do it over 2 days. How the world events are going to affect us, and how we can be better prepared to deal with what's going to happen in their minds as well. So I'm going to get off of here, because we could talk all day on some of the issues going on, but I want to stay motivated today. So y'all, live your dash. Live your dash. In spite of what's going on in the world around us, live your dash. Be who you are. Don't forget that ever. We have to be us, because the only person who is that dash on our headstone at the end of our life is us. That's what that dash represents, is our life. Our life. Not anybody else's. Our life. So learn to live your dash. It is super important. All right, I'm going to get off of here. This is Stacy. I'm Stacy. This is Walking My Shoes, and we are loving my veteran. Y'all have a blessed day. Bye.